Welcome everybody to another episode of the Future of Biz Tech. I'm your host, JC Granger, and today I'm interviewing Zofia Forsyth, who is the founder and CEO of Amaldi Group AI agency. Zofia, thank you so much for being on the show. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what does Amaldi Group do?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, Amadli Group, we're a data analytics and AI agency. So we help construction adjacent companies to streamline their operations, buy back their time, and essentially make more money.
Well, that's pretty cool. You said construction, so that's where you're focusing is the construction
That's
industry,
right.
right? When people think construction, they might think kind of like that the smaller business version. Are you working with SMBs? Are you working with the really big construction companies? Which ones benefit the most, I should say, from what you're doing, and then what are you specifically doing for them, like case study wise?
Absolutely. I actually help both. I help small and I also help large. I love helping companies to reach X amount of goal. For example, my goal is to double my revenue. My goal is to 10x my revenue. And this is where I come in. We audit their process. We've identified the high value ad tickets that are repeatable, that could be automated so they can reach their goals. So for example, one of the things that the easy one that gives the highest ROI and is just the easiest to implement is receptionist. For a small business owner, let's say that's running a local specialty contractor, let's say service job, sometimes they're out there in the fields. They don't have time to pick up the calls. And the client's already calling them through and but there's no one to pick up the calls, or sometimes they leave a voicemail and it sits in the emails, for example, that somebody needs to read, somebody needs to get back to and kind of move forward that service. But what we found out, over 70% sometimes get missed. That's between missed calls, voicemails, busy. The lines get busy, for example, by the time somebody is responding or somebody is leaving a message, a phone tagging back and forth. And then the business is looking, well, I want a revenue. So I'm going to go and spend marketing ads, for example. I want leads, right? So they go out there and spend marketing, but then they don't really have a process that gets those leads that are coming through the doors or through the phones to basically nurture them, get them in a system, make sure they get back to them on a timely basis. So what we have voice AI agent, we call it Vicky. So Vicky picks up the call. Vicky helps to qualify the call because sometimes, businesses gets calls also about hiring or maybe some sales calls, right? And then routes it to appropriate person, maybe sends out the quick form that they need to fill out to get some quote information, follows up on that, for example, information as well. And we just noticed staggering amounts. We've noticed from the conversion rate being a week to 3.5 days. That's incredible. The revenue is up compared to 6 months revenue. So it's just a small thing. It's filling the gaps, making sure those silo systems are working because again, they might have some type of CRM system, but the financials, like I'll give you example, go high level versus house pro call, for example.
Mhm.
Um, and they don't talk to each other necessarily, or they have cookbooks. So now it's really hard for the business owner sometimes to see, all right, well, how much money did I make? Or they use Sage, for example, it's another accounting software. So because the systems are not working and not talking to each other, it's really hard to keep track of things. And this is where we come in as well. We integrate that. So now we provide our agent with a dashboard. So that
Yeah.
essentially business is kind of looking, all right, well, how many calls this agent's picking up? How many getting answered? How many being followed up? How many are actually turning into the customer from lead, the conversion rates from the incoming calls, and how many of them are generating revenue, and what is it compared to 6 months? What is
Well,
ROI basically?
it sounds like that a lot of these companies are, like you were saying, you made a point, you were saying, well, they invest all this money into new leads. And it's like, well, you don't even have to at a certain point. If you have business coming in, it's if you just they're leaving money on the table by not converting the ones they already have coming in, right? And so I like that from a point of view because it saves them on marketing budget a little bit because they're probably doing better than they think. They're just not able to actually grab it when it comes in. And your system, it sounds like helps with that. Other than the voice agents, what other, again, because you say construction adjacent. So first, what does that mean specifically, right? Like what
100%.
other types of companies, and then what other things other than like an AI receptionist slash, appointment setter, however you do it, what else do you create for them?
Knowledge base is huge. Construction adjacent, when I'm talking about, for example, we talk junk removals, we talking property management companies, we talking about Oh, construction is more like specialty contractors, specialty contractors, and then adjacents, as I mentioned, junk removals or property management companies as well, or inspection companies that run inspection, for example. That's another one. Roofing, landscapers. So, um, and what I'm seeing there is another one is knowledge base. So, for a larger company, what we're seeing is submittals. So, for example, we saw the case where the large construction company and they have 150 employees, but when they have a project, those projects are usually large. And the proposals and all the cost of that, it just adds up as well. It takes the projects takes longer, it takes many people as well. But what we notice is if we create us giving them solution of a knowledge base where now all submittals are in their database and they can quickly query and see, all right, what was the equipment that we got for similar project? Who was the provider? What was the quote for that equipment, for example? So instead of them looking through the files or remembering things or, would be dispersed between the multiple team members, now they can quickly query and retrieve the information. Basically, as a quotation, you would call it like a system where now everything they've done, it's in there in their database, and now it's preventative because now they can close the project faster. They don't have to waste time and money from all the other team members that need to, for example, put the project together, put the cost together, bid estimates, basically. That's also part of it, is that they have a database that they can quickly query and estimate the project faster as well.
Wow. Okay. And then so what's the process like for training it? Like, do you interview them? Do you go and reach into all of their systems and then extract the information? Like, how do you even train these AI agents to do what you're talking about? Like, what's that process look like?
Absolutely. So a lot of times what we see is that they have every construction company, they work with building codes, they work with ordinances, they work with some compliances as well. And it's their monthly process. It's mostly like their daily monthly process, what it looks like. So they have some type of an internal documentation, and also they might reference it from the state, for example, as well, that they work in. And now what we do is aggregate the internal information. We aggregate the information, external information as well, and we create a database. So now when they have a project, they don't have to go on multiple, for example, multiple sites to find that information. So we bring it together and then we use, let's say, one of the large language models and we train that large language model. And the intricacy is, so we all have right now ChatGPT that you can connect your Google Drive to, for example, or you could also use Gemini, right? Has that ability, Google Drives or OneDrives or Microsoft Stack. But here's the thing: when you have a few, you have PDFs, for example, that's not a large amount of data. It does pretty good job. But when you expose it, like 10 years worth of data, and you're talking about data that's, for example, the PDFs that have graphs, have tables in them, have handwritten stuff on them that somebody crossed over said, okay, this code, no, this is a new one, for example, right? And they have not updated in the system. Now you need to have that large language model to be able to read that and retrieve the information. It's like, okay, well, if I'm looking to build this type of shed, for example, I'm just simplifying it, what's the code around it in this type of zone? Is it allowed or not allowed? And then can you please, now somebody will go in there and to retrieve it, we actually give the code where it's written as well. So it needs to be verifiable as well. So, and that's where the training part comes in, the fine tuning of the model comes in, making sure that we use the model, we have all of those details that it recognizes, it can provide the accurate information, and recognize all these details when it comes to documents reading
That's
process.
fantastic. Let's back up a little bit. I am curious, what inspired you to start this company? Like, were you in corporate America and you worked for a construction company and you're like, this is terrible. Someone can do it better. It has to be me. Like, just what was it that got you here that inspired you to even create this and specifically niche out into construction?
Absolutely. That's a good question. So I actually started as an accountant many years ago. I was an accountant. I got accounting degree, and I thought that I will get into Big Four. That was my dream. I'll take my CPA, get into Big Four, have my corner office and a beautiful tall glass ceiling. I thought I would make it. I literally have like I'm very visionary, visual person. I would have, pictures of that, thinking like
That
in
you're
your
on your
CV.
vision board, being on Downtown Manhattan and the skyscraper.
That's right. That's
Hey,
right.
hey, that's that you got to see it before you can make it happen, right? So,
I'm originally from Uzbekistan, so I came from a small town. I thought I'll graduate from college here in the United States, and that's what I'm going to do.
yeah.
Well, I didn't make the cut. I felt so terrible. Um, you know, I did not make a cut with the Big Four. I think I applied a couple of years, did not make it. I passed my CPA, and then I was in more corporate accounting. So that's where I started building my experience and then as I was working, I noticed I'm doing this repeatable process over and over again, like bank reconciliation, monthly reporting, for example. And I'm like, everything is in the system. Why can't it just come the way I want it? Why do I have to download multiple Excels and then I have to marry them? I have to clean up the data kind of over and over again. So then I started tinkering with Visual Basics at that time. That's like 10 years ago, basically macros. And that was the first time I saw the exposure to syntax, and I just loved it. I spend my nights, my evenings trying to automate the expense distribution report. And from then on, my CFO saw it, and I'm so grateful for George. If you're listening, thank you so much, because he gave me the opportunity to move to IT department with zero knowledge, with zero IT background. He just saw something in me. I asked for it, and he gave me this opportunity. He gave me um, one life lesson. I'll never forget this. I really felt bad of abandoning my accounting team because I really like accounting team too. So I just felt like, oh, like, am I like, kind of going to another department, saying bye to my friends, and it's just like, and I also like kind of saying bye to him as well because now my boss is VP of IT basically. And I said, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thinking, he's like, Sophia, nothing in life was given to me just because. You always have to ask for it.
Mhm.
Nothing
Yeah,
in
and you
life
gotta
was,
earn it. Yeah.
yeah, don't feel bad for it. Always ask. And it just kind of stuck with me. So I moved to IT department, but before that, I was hanging out around IT department because I was like, syntax thing. What are you guys doing here? Are you pushing F5 buttons? What is that, basically? And seeing our VP of IT show me, is like, look at this. It's like rows of data. At that time, the visual was Excel, was not Power BI or QuickSight or Tableau, for example, at that time. It was Excel. Press buttons, and then all of a sudden, these visuals are getting updated. And I was working at the senior care facility company at that time, so we get the all occupancy percent, all of that. And I was like, wow, this is magic. I need to know. I need to be here, basically. So I moved to IT department, learned everything kind of from scratch. Got into like structured query language, learning on weekends on my bus drives and my T trains, basically. And I just love business intelligence, like love automating, sitting code, and I'm and then from then on, COVID hit. I changed jobs after that, and COVID hit. I got laid off, and I was like, all right, let me look into Upwork. And I started looking into Upwork. I probably 4 months in, nobody responded, but then I started getting a little traction there. And I remember my first client, I was so terrified because when you work in corporate, you have a team. You have managers, you have peers that you can go back to, ask questions. You kind of like shielded a little bit. Here, people paying you money and expect results. And I'm like, ooh, I
You're on
don't.
your own. They throw you in the deep end, and it's like you better swim or you will sink.
That's right. And there's no chat GPT that you can go back to and say, can you please give me some advice here? It's like,
Yeah. Probably can now, right? People on Upwork can do that now. You couldn't back then, though.
yeah, that's right. It was all forums, and forums felt like Christmas. You go in there, you put when I was learning SQL, you go in there, you like put a query in there and you dumb it down because, you make sure that you don't put any proprietary data in there. And in the morning, you just like, wait, somebody respond. And there would be somebody responding. They're like, oh, this is the problem when you query, like this is what you need to use for your syntax. And it just like felt like Christmas that you wait, you go to bed, you wake up, and there's a present for you.
Yeah.
But
And what
anyways,
got you into the construction side specifically? What made you want to niche out into that?
absolutely. So as I help clients, I actually got another full-time job. So I kept that going. And in 2023, I started going solo. Basically, my W-2 job was done, and I just kind of started focusing uh, on my business. With construction, I started having the property management clients because back then when I made a switch from accounting to IT at that particular company, we were using Yardi. Yardi is a property management kind of one of the staple platforms that it's well known for property management. And I knew that platform very well because I was a system admin, I was the end user, and kind of like also the back end user of it as well. And that is for property management companies. So then I started helping companies that use Yardi. And I was like, all right, well, stacking up. And then I started having clients coming in from specialty contractors, flooring, I would also say plumbing, and then some electrician as well. And I was like, all right, well, let's see. Looks like, there's a path that's lining up. And I just kind of dived in this year on focusing on construction adjacent companies only now.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys are doing really well right now, but I always like to ask my guests about the struggles, right?
Oh, yeah.
Social media has a way of making people feel like everyone but them is doing really well, and I think that's really unhealthy. So, what were some of the early struggles you had when you launched your company, and what are some of the struggles that you're dealing with now that you're attacking?
Absolutely. I think when I was launching myself at the beginning, well, I came from corporate, so you always have a team. And now, when I remember my first time when I was hiring people, I still remember that. I'll be like, I don't know if I'll have a project in a month. Are you open just to do like a part time, just see how it goes? I don't know if it will be successful here. Can you just be with me? And that idea of just, I think the early struggle is like, all right, how do you onboard somebody? How you hire somebody? How do you qualify that's actually talent? And then you make sure that the quality is there because I'm all customer oriented. I want to make sure that my customers are served best. And when you're expanding, right, then you're moving yourself from because you need to grow. You need to get on the business development side. You need to work not in the business, on the business,
Hmm.
basically. And that was a part for that I've struggled a lot because I would be on every call with the customers, basically every week. And then as I grow, I'll have more customers. And then marketing, I had zero knowledge of marketing. As of last year, say 2 months in March, I did not even know how to make one reel about my business. Zero. Just
Yeah.
all my socials were about my family. Hi, I'm like, this is what's going on, but I would have no idea how to package it, how to communicate it. I would say how to communicate what you do in a way that is understandable to your clients and how to
Sure.
find also your ideal clients. Because another thing, I was serving everybody because I'm like, if I can help you, great. I would love to help you. But at the same time, I realized that's really hard because it's you always doing custom work. You don't have that language or that communication, those pain points of your vertical. That took me a while to kind of figure out my vertical.
Yeah, I mean it's smart to niche out though. Like especially once you've had success with a specific
Yes.
niche, right? That they would say, the riches are in the niches kind of thing, right?
Yes.
But let's pivot a little bit. So what are you guys doing uh to market yourselves, like specifically, right? Like I mean, you're on this podcast, obviously, right? But what beyond that are you guys doing to get the word out about your company in general?
Absolutely. So what I've been doing, I've been actually, so I'd say social media, leveraging a lot of social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. I also co-hosted my first AI leadership event last week here locally in Boston. So with that experience, I've never done before. I've spoken on four, now five events, live events. So attending and flying to different types of masterminds and speaking to business owners of how AI could help them. So I would say also being part of multiple networking, local networking groups as well, and just trying to build relationships, trying to find my perfect, uh, let's say, not, I would say perfect, I would say trying to find um, my groups of where I should be, where my clients are. And make sure that I'm in front of them as much as possible, making sure that I also communicate and share the stories of success stories that we've done for other clients.
Okay. And then where do you guys want to be in the next 12 months or so? Like, where do you see your company if we were to have this podcast again?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. Um, I definitely have moved from, I'd say, I still do service, but I moved into more product as well. So, and what I would like to be at, I would like to serve a larger group of construction business owners and um, help them with AI agents, but help them really to 2x their revenue, and 5x their revenue. I think if I can come in and help with their business operations and scale their business and have really established myself as a go-to person as an AI on automation in the construction field, I think that would be something that I would be really proud of.
Do you find it difficult to even get a hold of construction executives? Because in my experience, I mean, it's a very blue collar industry, right? So you don't
Absolutely.
listen, don't get me wrong, the executive level of a big construction company, they are sitting in offices, they do have computers, but when you get in, like you said, you help SMBs also, and like you said, half the issue is that they're in the field. So the irony is that you solve a problem that they actually currently have. So how do you even get in front of them when they're out
Yes.
in the field and they're not even taking calls from prospects? So how are you getting on their books? That's what I'm curious about.
Sure, that's a good one. I'm in masterminds actually. So I'm part of some of my masterminds, and that's where I find them because then they are with me in that mastermind. We're all learning business, and actually, it all came by surprise. So I joined the mastermind by Dan Martell a year and 2 months ago
I know I've
to
heard Dan.
learn.
Yeah.
Yes, to learn my marketing skills, to learn how to run business. His book, Buy Back Your Time book, and I was just very inspired and very committed. So as I went there with the goal to better myself as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, as a provider of my services for my clients, I started actually meeting people in construction that doing the same thing. And now they talking to me.
And then do you have like a referrals coming in as well? Like, what's
Yeah.
the residual effects of the type of marketing you're doing right now? Are you seeing kind of multiple dividends off of each client, or are they all kind of like they don't want to tell anyone what they're doing to be successful, right?
Oh no, no, they vary so much often. And I just want to be candid with you. I haven't even started the outreach, meaning like
Oh,
cold outreach or anything like that for the
because you've been doing a
construction
lot of
company.
like in-person, the masterminds and speaking. Yeah, okay. Well, hey, that whole thing over there, that's where you scale, right? Like but it sounds like you're doing really well with the other stuff already.
So what I'm doing is, as I'm talking to construction companies, now I'm doing the work for them, and I'm also testing as we're building these agents. Right now, I see what kind of agents are they would need, what kind of technological stack they use, what works, what doesn't, and now I'm actually productizing those agents. So I can help more people. But
No.
now I have case studies. Now, when I
Yeah.
talk to somebody, I've done this. I've done the QA QC process, and this is how it looks like, for example.
It
I've
compounds on
automated it.
itself.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So now that I will build this, now I can go and do, let's say, cold outreach and say, this is what we've helped company just like you, and this is our case study. And actually, what we're doing right now, we are literally, as of right now, we're speaking, finalizing on our demo because we've sold those voice AI agents. But sometimes you sell, but they're like, all right, you got to create demos so you can show others that they can
Mhm.
come in and actually test it out. So now we
Yeah.
have one that they literally can come to our website and they try me. We're finishing up and they can try me, meaning they will call the voice agent and the agent will pick up the call. And if they want to book an appointment to see how it books an appointment, they will book an appointment with me because it's
Nice.
connected to
Okay.
my calendar.
All right. I like that. Where do you see the technology going that you're using right now? And I mean collectively within the whole industry. Like in the next 2 or 3 years, do you see any really big jumps in innovation or use cases for what you're doing along with your competitors, what they're doing for either construction or other industries in general? I'm just curious, like what's the future look like to you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I already see multiple tools out there for construction. For example, if you're doing some type of a field work, you need to go, you are out on the field and you examine the field and you need to put in some type of report based on that. You take some pictures or you need to put the description of the property, let's say, and surroundings. Most of the times you need to type it in some type of form. And a lot of times it's admin work that nobody likes to do
Mhm.
because what they want to do, they want to go to as many project sites as possible in a day. But then they have to remember what they've seen and then they have to go and log it somewhere, right? So that the whole process is literally you take a picture, you record like voice
Mhm.
recording, and then it gets swooped out, gets populated in whatever system that usually those systems have some type of API address API access. So it's application programming interface. So the backend office, so that data could be pushed in and filled out the form on your behalf based on the voice recordings that it gets. It will transcribe it and fill it out. And also will attach pictures and will audit as well. Say, hey, JC, you forgot about this type of a thing to check. Can you please tell me what you found there on this note so I can fill it out, for example? Or this photo came out a little blurry. Can you retake it?
Sure. Yeah.
So things of that kind, basically. Now, with that tool, they can do more site visits. That means faster processing. That means faster, shortened sales cycles. It means more money.
Okay. I like that. Um, it's funny earlier you were talking about how you really liked your boss and he kind of saw something in you, right, when you wanted to switch over to IT, right? Um, Other than that experience, because I imagine that particular experience, because that advice he gave you, you said just ask for it, right?
Yes.
Other than that advice, and maybe it's from the same person, I don't know, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given in your journey up to where you're at now?
I think for everybody, it's just a simple one. You don't have to you don't have to figure it all out all at once. Just start doing, the clarity will come in. And actually that's from Bill Gates. It sticks around with me because um, I saw that and I was like, this is so true because we overanalyze things, we try to figure out all the pieces, and that kind of prevents us from moving forward or take that action and take that step.
Hmm.
But just start doing, and the clarity comes in. Just put your first demo. For example, with our voice agent, our first demo for our client, right? We know we can do this. Here's a voice agent. It's rough around the edges, but if I'm doing this for you, I will make sure it is to the T. I'll bring
Yeah.
all my analytical expertise, all my mighty power in it, and I'll make sure that I'll take care of you. But as we build this first demo, I was like, oh, that'd be cool to add it to now talk to my calendar. Wouldn't that be awesome? So it doesn't just push the form out. So we're doing this for HVAC, for example. So it doesn't just push the form out to collect your information, but if you really want to speak to a person, let's connect you to calendar right there. And now let's connect to my calendar. Just the things will come and the picture will get refined. So I think it's just doing the thing.
Yeah, your that advice, it sounds very familiar to advice that like a mantra within Krav Maga, which is what I do. I do Krav Maga training, and we always say solve the problem in front of you, right? In a lot of martial arts, they teach you these specific techniques on what to do in this exact situation. But the reality of the world is that even if you know those techniques, it is about a 99% chance that whatever plan you had is going to be blown up immediately with just the what happens in the moment. And so the idea is that if something goes to hell, just solve that problem in front of you, right? Like once you solve that one, then you can worry about the next one. Because people say, well, what if a second person comes up? It's like, okay, well, you still got a first person in front of you. You got to solve that first.
Yes,
Then you
yes.
can worry about this other, you know what I mean? So it's things like that. But I like that idea of you can't know it all at once. Like focus on what you can control and what you can work with, and then build the plane in the air with your hair on fire, right? Like it'll, it'll eventually work out if you keep with it. So Zofia, where can people find you personally if they like something that they heard today from you? And then where can they find the company if they want to, kick the tires, poke around, check out what you're all about?
Absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube. It's at Zulfia Forsyth. Um, And if you're coming from this podcast, just write DM BizTech. That way I know you're coming from here and I'll give you my free AI library that I've been putting together of all the prompts, all the tips, all the GPTs, how to, for example, analyze your sales calls or how to write a short message per Dan Mattel. So just all of things that I'm learning from the best coaches out there. Also, I have another awesome coach and I want to give him a shout out, Graham Barlow. So everything I'm learning from the top business entrepreneurs, I'm pushing out there, giving it out, and putting in my Notion link that I want to share with everybody.
So they just put biz tech and then you'll give them a bunch of free stuff, basically,
That's
right?
right.
I
That's
love
right.
it. Hey, look at that. Something free for the audience. Awesome. And listen, for everyone else out there listening, thank you so much for listening or watching to another episode of the Future of Biz Tech. If you like something that I said today or something Sophia said, give it a 5-star review. Share it with your friends because that is how tech nerds like you and I find cool podcasts like this one. Sophia, thank you so much for being on the show, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.